Let's picture this, the reality. On a deserted path in my village, I came across a woman who seemed to be running for her life. She crossed me with a terrified glance and hid into the nearby bushes. The reaction. What just happened? I asked myself, completely shocked and rooted to the ground. After having contemplated to get into the crux of the matter, I decided to approach her. But suddenly, the fact, she was being followed by a group of people with sticks and swords. The angry mob halted in front of me. A scary-looking man wearing a black bandana stepped ahead and asked, "Did you see a woman running this way?" The answer, I meekly nodded. He gruffly added, "Where did she go?" That way, I was quick to point down the lane. The crowd rushed over there and disappeared before my eyes in a jiffy. The truth, it was a misinformation. I had deliberately pointed in the direction opposite to that of the bushes. A few moments later, I decided to peep into the bushes, only to realize that the woman had vanished. The conclusion. What have I done? I pondered. Could she be a thief? A kidnapper? No, but these people would have surely harmed her, maybe even killed her. So I guess I saved her. I felt better. The inference. Was I being honest? No. Was I being practically wise? Maybe. Was I being righteous? Absolutely, as per my moral compass. Friends, for my topic of the day, wisdom versus honesty, I am rooting for a combination of both in the form of righteousness. Just to put things in a common perspective, practical wisdom is cleverness plus a critical thinking ability, which often requires a certain skill set, generally gained through experience, and many a times used to accomplish a particular goal. Righteousness simply means taking the best possible decision circumstantially and ethically. In this dynamic world, we cannot be too honest, for we may become vulnerable. We cannot be too practical, for we may lose out fostering genuine relationships. So what do? Take both hand in hand and be righteous. Now, I would be righteous here and state that the story that I narrated now at the onset was inspired from an incident that I had read in my cousin's blog ages ago and which has stayed with me ever since. Also, I would like to highlight how the people around us are masking practical wisdom as dishonesty. There are versions of truth for every facet of our life. Nothing is absolute, everything is abstract. We have ceased to be consumers and become products ourselves, products that everyone around us use, may it be our mind, our money, our effort, our opinion, just products to serve someone's ulterior motives. In this scenario, I would like to touch upon a few sectors that generally influence a young adult's life and add a dimension to it with respect to making the right choices. Health. The health market is truly commercial. Gone are the traditional methods and the grandmother's concotations, which we so completely resented. And in comes high-tech terms like DHA. A multitude of vitamins and minerals and all nutrients packed in one single scoop, which we so immensely believe in and religiously consume it. That's practical wisdom, right? Anyways, the commercialization of health market has led to selective truth projection. For instance, a health drink marketing itself as being protein-rich and healthy with 30 grams of protein per 100 gram serving and 30% of the daily essential nutrients per serving conveniently masks the fact that it also contains 62 grams of carbohydrates per 100 gram serving, of which 24 grams is sugar. This is selective health projection. All we need to do is understand our body requirements. Aim to take a balanced diet of home-cooked food, then we must be more than fine, and that should be our right choice. Education. The onset of the pandemic set the parents and the students into a frantic mode. This panic gave wings for the so-called edtech companies to rise. Just imagine the years of consistent result delivery with hand-picked trained staff, ample resources, and absolute hard work does it take for any school to attain and retain its reputation. Do any one of us here know the recruitment criterion of any of the edtech companies? Do we know that most of the so-called trained and experienced staff that these companies boast of are mostly newbies and such facilitators who had been expelled from their schools or colleges for being inefficient? These companies spend a sizable amount of their investment training marketing executives and not their facilitators, who can trap gullible students into packages by asking irrelevant questions much beyond their syllabus and painting an illusionary, glorious future for them. One needs to do a quality analysis with respect to the services offered for the cost demanded and not fall for such gimmicks or fads. That should be the right choice. The satellite media. I do so remember as a student sitting religiously in front of the evening half-an-hour news and equipping myself with all that is happening with respect to my locality, my country, and the world at large. But today, even if I choose to spend an entire day in front of any news channel, I'm hardly left with any credible news. That's because what's being delivered is opinionated news with versions of half-truths and truths of convenience being projected for their own vested interest. The news changes drastically with every piece of so-called information revealed, thus fueling a 24/7 news culture. One day, a close friend of mine came up to me at school and said, "Did you see that Shah Rukh and Gauri got married?" I said, "Yes." She gave me all the relevant details in 2 minutes and summed up with, "Both looked so cute, yaar." The same friend was speaking to me over the phone some time back, and she asked me, "Did you see that Ranbir and Alia got married?" I said, "Yes." She started. The Mehndi ceremony was at their residence with Alia looking so pretty in her yellow dress, and on and on and on she went for 15 minutes. Then she was going to start with the Sangeet deeds. When I protested, "My younger one is hungry, I have to feed her." "Bye dear." Now see, I do agree that Bollywood marriages are not trivial news pieces. You beg to differ. They actually find a place under the GK section of exam papers of few schools. That's a fact. Well, what's changed? The entire news market has changed. Anything and everything can be projected as a news today. So what can we do? Opt for our subscriptions wisely, value our time, and trust our own reasonable opinions. That should be the right choice. The social media. The renowned Saint Kabir Das said, and I quote, "I went searching the entire world looking for evil, but could not find anything bad. Then I chose to look within myself, only to realize that there is not a soul worse than me." This couplet has got a significant context with respect to the present ingrained behavior of ours in finding fault with others. This also makes us think that the fault necessarily need not lie with the other person, but our perception of the other person. The social media seems to be a reflection of just our alter ego, which feeds off this sadistic pleasure derived out of activities like cruelty, bullying, and trolling. at the social media platform. This often leads to depression among the victims, even pushing them to the brink of suicides. When it comes to social media, I follow my mother's golden rule, which was drilled into me as a kid by her. That is, if you do not have anything nice to say, just don't say anything at all. The next time you decide to be rude or so-called brutally honest with someone on a social media platform, just ask yourself these two questions. Would I be doing this revealing my own true identity? Would I be doing this looking into the eyes of the person for whom this comment is meant for? If you find yourself answering in affirmative for both of the above, then well, just go ahead and do it. That should be your right choice. In a nutshell, how do we make right choices? Decipher the truth. Refrain from forming quick opinions. Research and analyze. Be humane and aim to be righteous. See, the only thing that we are capable of changing in this entire universe is I, in all the entirety, body, mind, and soul. Realize it. Do not fall for the petty triumphs and malice of mocking others, for goodness and truth never get out of fashion. Also, we cannot take the onus for someone else's honesty. Let's not be disillusioned by the dishonesty around us. Let's just set our own moral compass right and aim not to deviate the north, both literally and figuratively. We recently came across the story of S. Pechiamal, a 57-year-old widow from Kattunaikanpatti village, Thoothukudi district, Tamil Nadu. This woman has been spending the past 36 years of her life as a man. She got married at the age of 20 and became a widow just 15 days post her marriage. After having delivered her daughter and struggling to make both ends meet as a single mom, she decided to don identity of the man and started calling herself Muthu. See, the reasons for her decision is not completely unimaginable in a largely patriarchal society like ours. The woes of widows and single women is a topic of discussion for another day entirely. Whatever the reasons may be, she was not completely dishonest. Her own daughter and a few relatives back home knew her true identity. Now, this woman has toiled her entire life as a laborer to support her daughter. So, did her dishonesty harm anyone? Absolutely not. All this woman was doing was being righteous. Righteous as a mother to safeguard her daughter. Righteous as a woman to safeguard her own self-dignity. Now, like this admirable example, let us forge practical wisdom and honesty into our own Mjolnir and wield it like the demigod Thor. Come on, we all love Avengers, don't we? Anyway, I'll be righteous again and state that Thor is not my most favorite Avenger. Well, friends, we need not barge with trumpets to prove ourselves. Just a silent resilience, an unflinching faith to be righteous, and a quiet sense of honor will do right, just right. I extend my sincere gratitude to each one of you for being such a wonderful audience, for I am just a passionate educator. Thank you.